I'd like to get your comments on the following. On global warming. It seems to me like there's a pincers movement going on. On this side, you have multinational corporations writing up global warming proposal, which was the U.S. CAP blueprint, which was the basis for the Waxman, was it Matt Waxman, Markey bill or something? You got them doing, and I looked at that blueprint, and after I fought my eyes glazing over, because you know they really don't want you to know what it says,
Yeah.
and it's one of those maneuvers that so often happens in that world, where they pretend to do something about a problem, so they don't have to. Because there's so many offsets and so on, it's not going to work. And the other part of the pincers, of course, is the right wing keeping everybody confused and enraged. And as far as the story is concerned, I guess it's about what will happen. I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. The Waxman bill, I thought it started out good, and then it became, you know, just a corporate giveaway, essentially. I mean, we're giving those trade extensions away. They should have been sold,
Exactly.
and we're just simply giving them away. But this is part of the problem in Washington with my Democratic friends up there, is that they're too tied to the money, so they give in. And too often, as we saw in healthcare, they give in from the start. When you take single payer, which should not have been called single payer, should be called Medicare for all. You know, that's something people understand. You know, then they took that off the table. Then we're left with some convoluted thing that cannot be explained easily at all. And now we got something called the public option, and people don't know what the hell that is. They think it's bad. So we're stuck in our own sort of wheel-spinning method here. It puts us on the defensive rather than on the offensive. So again, though, I think that's our job, and we got to do the Willie Nelson Mouse thing and realize, you know, all right, we're going to make some gains here, some gains in healthcare, some gains in global warming, some gains, you know, in Wall Street reform, but not enough. And then we just got to keep coming back. But again, we can at least be on the offensive now. We can go back and say it is Medicare for all that we want. You know, it is real climate change reform, you know, et cetera, et cetera. We go back over here.
You've mentioned how we could work with the media. Are there any other tactics or techniques that you would suggest that we could use to get the word out to fight something like the PATH?
Yes, again, one very simple one, and that's I'm a big fan of two things really, but I'll start with the second one because it's more relevant, and that is potluck suppers. This is part of how you build a movement. You have you know, people are busy. They got kids to feed, they got jobs, you know, to worry about, etc. Babies to bathe, and well, you know, so I can't go to your meeting. But if you made the meeting supper, you know, and have a little beer and red wine, you know, to lubricate the movement, maybe have somebody with a guitar or flute or something, might provide a little bit of music, bring the kids, everybody talk, and the host neighborhood, they're guiding the discussion. It's what they want to talk about, and then the next week or the next month, some other neighborhood is doing it. And they're guiding us, so we get to know each other and get to understand each other, rub up against each other a little bit. So that's one, just very simple one. And then quickly, the other thing I love are festivals. We don't do enough of this. I just came 2 weeks ago from Baraboo, Wisconsin, where the Fighting Bob Fest is held every year. That's named for Fighting Bob La Follette. If you don't know your progressive history, look it up. Great progressive leader out of Wisconsin. He was governor and then U.S. senator. He founded the Progressive Party, ran for president, got 25% of the vote, I believe it was in 24. So, you know, he's a great crusader against corporate power. So the people up there created this day-long festival at the, and Baraboo is the home of the Ringling Brothers. That's where they came from. And so they have a big county fairground. So it's held at the county fair. grounds, and they have speakers and great food. They have again the beer garden, etc. They have wonderful music. They have workshops, breakout sessions where they form their own agenda and then take that to the legislature. And they've been passing things there. So people coming together. They get about 10,000 people come to this thing every year, and it's just energizing to have something like that. And again, I don't think we get together enough, particularly in a spirit of fun and, you know, having a good time with each other.
You mentioned that many of the Democrats are, you know, tied to the money in the legislature. Would it be wise to spend more energy then looking at campaign finance reform?
Yes, campaign finance reform, and in particular one that I know you've been working on, but we need to push harder, and that is public financing of our elections. That is the reform that works. This is not a theory. Maine has done it. Connecticut has done it. North Carolina has done it for their judicial elections. That left-wing state of Arizona has done it. New Mexico, around. It's a tremendous reform. In Maine, they've now had about 6 election cycles under their public financing. And what this means is it's an alternative. It's already passed constitutional muster, so this is a reform that the Supreme Court won't knock down. And what it means is that if you refuse to take the corporate money or any private money, then you get access to a pool of public money that makes you competitive in the race, and it includes primaries, and it includes third parties. So it creates new candidacies. Maine has now, they had more women elected than before, more people of color elected, and more participation in the voting process because real discussions happen. They now have 84% of their Senate and 86% of their House elected without taking a dime in corporate money. It totally changes politics. Arizona, they've got their 11 highest statewide offices, 9 have been elected without taking any corporate money. Janet Napolitano was one of those. She said, I could not have run except for public financing. She couldn't have got the financing. And she said it made it easier to deal with the legislature because she could then deal on a more honest ground with Republicans than having the money bag sit in between them. North Carolina, as I say, they're doing it on judicial election. They have a black woman who is on the Court of Appeals there for the first time ever. They have a woman who is Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in North Carolina. Totally changes the politics. It means just regular people can run for office again. You have access to this money. So that is a huge reform. And I'm trying to work it up in Texas, and there is an effort there, and other states are doing as well. And there's a group in Washington called Public Campaign that works with local groups to help them do these things. And also, you can, if you want, you get to a point where you're going to have a big public meeting about public financing. People from Maine or North Carolina, or legislators, for example, are willing to come over and talk about what it has meant in their state. So it's real, you know, it's not a theory for people to see, well, here's somebody where it actually happens. So.
I'm just going to say there's a website for West Virginia for that. It's called W Voter Owned, like WB. Anyway, ask Carol. But there's all kinds of information, because it's been ongoing for almost 12 years, and West Virginia Citizen Action and OPEC and others have been involved in this. There's a large coalition, and you know, we'd love that to be alive and well here, that movement.
That's again a coalition effort has to come together to make that happen. That's what happened in North Carolina. They spent 2 years. They had to go through the legislature. You don't have initiative here, right? State.
Right.
So some states have done it by initiative. That's how Maine and Arizona did it. But North Carolina, they had to go through the legislature. They spent 2 years just going around building the coalition, talking to people about it before they even introduced a bill. And then when they got the bill in, the Republicans were lockstep against it, and they were not going to vote for it. And they did something very clever. Teachers were a part of their coalition, so they had teachers call their former students who were in the legislature. Johnny, don't make me have to come to Raleigh. So, you know, a lot of creativity.